got my picture of a life cycle of a frog that I've put together. I'm going to use this picture to help me come up with 4 sentences that explain the life cycle of a frog. So my picture starts with my eggs at the top. We know that frogs lay eggs, sometimes called spawn, in ponds or on the top of the water on plants. And then out of the eggs, tadpoles hatch and they swim around. So they've got big tails but no legs. The tadpoles change into froglets. They've still got tails, but they've started to grow legs and little arms, and their faces are becoming longer. And then the froglets' tails disappear and they become frogs. So the tails have gone and they're fully grown adult frogs. And then it starts all over again. Frogs lay eggs and eggs turn into tadpoles, tadpoles into froglets and froglets into frogs. So I need to write this down in 4 sentences that explain the life cycle really well. And I've started off by writing my title at the top of my page, Life Cycle of a Frog. It's really important to have a title, especially with non-fiction texts where you're going to explain how something happens. Now, just like we did for the life cycle of a butterfly, we're going to number each stage. So our first stage is here, look. So I'm going to put a number 1 so I know it's our first stage. And I need to come up with a sentence that explains this stage. So I'm going to say, a frog lays its eggs in a pond. So I'm going to start off with a frog lays its eggs. I know I need to start with a capital letter, so I'm going to do that. A frog lays its eggs. I know how to spell now. We've practiced that a lot recently. To remember, it's got 2 eggs. A frog lays its eggs in a pond. In a pond. That seems like a good sentence. I'm just going to check it through. Got a capital letter. Need a full stop. I've got finger spaces. I can read it and it makes sense. So I'm going to write my second sentence now. Need to remember to put my number 2 because this tells us that it's the second stage. And here's the second stage. So the sentence I'm going to write is going to say, tadpoles hatch from the eggs. Tadpoles hatch from the eggs. Tadpoles hatch from the eggs. Tadpoles. I've got that written here, so I know how to spell that. Tadpoles hatch. I know it's got a hidden letter in. From one of our tricky trial words. And another tricky trial word, the. And then another word we've learned to spell quite a lot, eggs. Shouldn't have too much problem with that. Remember my full stop this time. Okay, I'm going to check it through. I've spotted something at the beginning. I didn't start with a capital letter, probably because I was copying the one on my sheet where I haven't got a capital letter. There we go, a bit of a wonky t there. I think you could do better. Tadpoles tadpoles hatch from the eggs. Now I've written 2 sentences for the first 2 stages. In your books, can you write those first 2 stages down using the same words that I've written?